Hello, humans. I've done some cases from this book before. This book is called Collection of Strange Conditions, and yeah, it has some really weird stuff, but these are always fun. So let's do a few more of these strange cases. Somebody named Cui Yaofeng was the defense commissioner in some place. His nephew was named Li. And so the nephew had a small growth that suddenly developed on his left upper eyelid. It kept getting bigger and bigger until it was as big as a chicken's egg. Wow. And the root of this growth was as thin as a wire. So, there's this big egg just attached to his eyelid by like this fine wire-like connection. So because it was such a fine connection, it just hung down and hung over his eyes, making it impossible for him to open his eye or see. So the uncle Cui cut off the growth after making his nephew Li get drunk, as anesthetic. So the young guy got drunk and Sway cut off the growth and it broke open. And when it did, a yellow sparrow flew out of the growth. It was the size of a chicken egg. So, of course, the sparrow could fit in it. And it flew out chirping and was gone. So, this section here is on weird growths. Here's another story from the same book, different time, different place. Anyway, someone engendered an external sore the size of a bowl on their chest. It developed several openings that made sounds of a human shouting or howling. So this sore on the chest is making all this noise. This discomfort came from worry and depression. And then once it developed, an evil spirit leaned into it. An evil spirit took advantage of it and went in there and was yelling and making all that noise. So they used herbs. They used 3 liang of gansao, unprocessed gansao, 5 qian of ginseng, and 3 qian of some different herbs, baifan, which is alum, fushen, a type of poria, and Qīng Huà. The herbs were boiled in water and he took them, and then the voices were quiet. After 2 more doses, the patient recovered. This must be because Gansao detoxifies, ginseng and Fushen calm the spirit, Baifan somehow stopped the sounds, and Qīng Huà resolved the heat. Did we see symptoms of heat up here? Not really, but apparently there was heat. And so it was easily effective. Okay, so if you have a patient that has a howling sore on their chest, here's your formula. Another. During the Tang Dynasty, a merchant had a sore on his left arm. It developed into a human face. The merchant had no other health problems. So he was joking around and he put, drinking wine, and he put a few drops of wine into the mouth of this sore that looked like a face. The face turned red. And, a lot of Asians, when they drink, they have this Asian flush on their face when they drink alcohol. So the face also did. And then he fed it and it ate. When it ate a lot, the flesh of his arms bulged because it was full. When he did not feed it, his whole arm developed paralysis, or the word is actually B, but B means a bunch of things besides painful obstruction of the joints. So it could mean paralysis, it could mean painful obstruction, it could mean numbness even. So something happened in his arm when he was starving that face. A famous doctor, although we don't know who, famous doctor taught him to try various herbs, but none of them bothered it. And when he tried Beimu, then the sore gathered its eyebrows, frowning, and closed its mouth. The merchant was pleased, and so he forced a small reed tube into the mouth of this sore, and he poured beimu into it. I don't know if it was powdered beimu or if it was he decocted it and poured in liquid. Doesn't say. Anyway, after several days, the sore scabbed up and healed. Even though this disease is unknown, a certain book said that it was a metal sore. How could that be true? So metal sores are if you get wounded by metal, like a knife cut, or you step on a nail or whatever. And as you might guess, metal sores can get infected and you can get tetanus from them. So metal sores were in a special worry. But this doesn't sound like a metal sore, does it? Another. A woman from Shandong had something in her arm that was hard to, it wasn't clear what it was, but there was something going on in her arm that you could see, but not see clearly. It wound around her arm, resembling a flood dragon. She liked to immerse her arm in water because dragons like water. And so this is implying that the dragon was making her want to put her arm in water. One day, when thunder and lightning appeared through her window, a dragon split the clouds and flew away. And this bothers me a little. It says a dragon, it doesn't say the dragon. So, did the dragon jump out of her arm and fly away, or is this some other random dragon? I think it implies that the dragon in her arm jumped out and flew away to join the thunder and lightning. Okay. A weird one, as if they aren't all weird. A doctor named Shu Tsai, who you can see the dates, that's pretty early, treated someone who suffered swelling and pain at the root of his feet. I don't know what's the root of the feet. Maybe it's the region of kidney 1. Different doctors couldn't understand the problem. But Shu saw this patient and said, this is a clam demon disease. It comes from you riding in a boat on the sea and dangling your feet in the water, so the clam could latch on and go into his feet. The patient said, yeah, I really did that. So Shu Tsai cut his feet open and found 2 clams the size of elm seeds. I don't think that sounds very big. They're not huge clams, but still, you don't want clams in your feet, do you? Okay, another one. Someone that sounds like a ghost crying in their abdomen. It just sounds like, abdominal gurgling that's really loud, but, literally sounds like a ghost crying. So he quickly boiled huanglian, cold bitter herb, into a condensed liquid and constantly sipped it and recovered without further intervention. So I guess the ghost didn't like cold bitter herbs, but probably his spleen didn't like that either. And the final one for this, video. This is supposed to be a story about Huachuo, but this isn't one of the standard stories. This is, some later book making up a story or whatever. Anyway, so Huachuo treated someone who had attacks of abdominal pain more than 10 times a day. The hair on this person's temples had fallen out. So Huachuo said, this is a half-rotten spleen. What does that have to do with the hair on his temples? I don't know. Of course, abdominal pain, sure. A half-rotten spleen, okay. But the hair on his temples, I don't know. Anyway, so Huachuo says, I can cut the abdomen open and treat it. Huachuo is famous for having done surgery. Whether that's true or not, he's still famous for it. So Huachuo offers to remove the half-rotten spleen. He had the patient drink medicine to make him sleep. Huachuo is also famous for this anesthetic formula called Mafesan. And, it would put people to sleep so he could do his operations. So I'm going to have him drink this mafe-san, go to sleep, and then cut open his abdomen to have a look. And indeed, when he did it, the spleen was half rotten. So he cut it off with a knife, amputating the like gross flesh that was, dying and rotten and so forth. He then applied an ointment to the incision and the patient recovered. Okay, maybe. So those are my little short, weird cases for the day.